All right, from one big club that's struggling to another, Chelsea, Frank Lampard. 3 matches as manager, 3 losses. Is it already proven that it was not the right decision to make Lampard the caretaker manager?
I think so. I think it was a strange decision. I really do. I think with a squad that was in disarray, you needed someone who seemed disconnected with their coach and appeared to have lack of motivation and lack of energy. If you appoint a temporary coach, then they're not going to perform for a temporary coach. If you bring in somebody permanent, and then you've got to impress the permanent guy. They know Lampard is probably more than likely going to be temporary. So what's the motivation there to get moving for another month? I think it was a real strange one. His words were, I think, they're lacking energy. Well, what does that tell you? I mean, if they're not giving him the energy he wants, and these obviously they could put 2 first teams out, Chelsea. It's unbelievable. It beggars belief. It's hard to imagine the likes of seeing Chelsea, Liverpool that we were talking about earlier, and now Chelsea struggling the way they are. They're 3 points ahead of Crystal Palace, and Palace were in the relegation scrap 2 weeks ago. So it's a strange one. I can't see them getting out of it. They've got to. They need to. It was a real weird appointment. And it was a wrong one, in my opinion.
Yeah, I thought it was the wrong one at the time when they made it. Still think that it's proving to be the wrong one now. I don't understand what you were doing. And if you were going to appoint someone as a caretaker manager, why in the world is it Lampard? Look, this is Frank Lampard, as good as he was as a player, continues to get jobs based solely on his name. He was not good enough at Chelsea the last time. He was better at Chelsea than he was at Derby County. I know Derby County made the playoff there and had a chance to be promoted, but under Lampard. But what do you do? But if you look at his winning percentage, it was higher at Chelsea than it was at Derby County. So then gets the Everton job, and he was awful. And he's been able to keep jobs longer than he should have because of his name and because of the respect that people have for him as a player. And at Everton, at Chelsea, it doesn't make any sense that you would bring him back. What is there that you can point to that would say that he's good, that he's capable of being, at this point in his career, a quality manager? I don't know what you can possibly say about that. So, or point to say this is the reason we're bringing him in. He's also had clashes with players. And now I'm seeing, and don't get me wrong, I understand the respect that everyone has for Frank Lampard, especially in London. But I'm seeing multiple places in the London media where they're saying, well, Lampard's struggling to feel like to handle this bloated roster that they have. Bloated roster just means you have a lot of really good players, which means you don't lose the way that you're losing right now. No, nothing personal, Chris. They spend 8 times what Wolves do in a season. Why in the world are you losing to Wolves in your first match? I mean, you expect a new manager bump. You didn't get a new manager bump. You lost to Wolves, then you lost to Madrid, and now you just lost this weekend as well. This is a terrible team, and Lampard's making it worse, not necessarily better. And I don't understand what the thought process was in bringing this guy in. And maybe it was Graham Potter's a friendly coach, Lampard's kind of a butt kicker, and it's a different voice. But I'll tell you what it reminds me of. It reminds me of American sports teams that are more concerned with winning press conferences and getting a lot of publicity than they are, and it's an American ownership group, than they are with winning actual games and just fielding the best team with the best manager that they possibly can.
Yeah, you've got to wonder how much knowledge the owner has and who he's getting his advice from. And there's been all sorts of rumors about that. But it really doesn't look like anyone's steering the ship at the moment and leading. Lampard, he's just the big thing with Potter was that they didn't have any continuity. That there wasn't any stability in the team, and they still haven't. He's got, like you say, they've got all this wealth of talent, and they're using it as an excuse. They've got too many players, but they're all top class, top quality players. And they're making 6 changes from the week from the European game that they played last week. Six changes for the league game. There'll probably be 6 changes again, or around that number for the Champions League again this weekend. And so it's never going to get better. They're not going to have any continuity. There seems to be a lot of egos. They're all great players. If you can't get it, if neither of them can get a tune out of that number of players, then there's something seriously wrong.
I will say it's concerning, though, to managers, and you're seeing a lot of quit in a lot of these players who are supposed to be world-class elite players. And why aren't they motivated? That's a big question that I have. I also wonder this, though, the fact that they went to a caretaker manager, because I thought that they'd just go get Nagelman and be done, right? And that's your hire, you're finished, go. Could they be waiting on Vincent Company to finish the season?
Yeah, quite possibly. It's a big gamble, though, unless they've spoken to him already and they've got the okay. They can't. Well, they're in the Champions League, but it's not looking great now, is it? What, 2-0 down after the first leg, so they did have that to play for. But as far as the league goes, they couldn't go down. They weren't going to make the top four, so just throwing Frank Lampard in there for a couple of months, if they're going to get Vincent Company, then it could work out a good move, and they know what they're doing all along. Whether Company would go, whether he wants to give it a go with Burnley, it'd be interesting to see. But yeah, Nagelman, they could get. I mean, Enrique, they could get whoever they want. You'd think. So maybe they do know what they're doing. Maybe they've been given the nod by somebody, and they'll have them in place in the summer.
I guess that's more so what I kind of wondered when I saw that they went with the Lampard was, okay, you're clearly not hiring someone that doesn't have a job right now, or at least you're leaving your options open to try to hire someone that is at a club right now, and you want to wait until they finish the season, because it wasn't like bringing in Lampard that you could have thought that you were going to improve whatsoever.